The Tower of God anime is transitioning into the workshop battle, and because of that, I wanted to look back at Return of the Prince and talk about some of my favorite moments in this first part of Season 2. Now, I'm going to be talking about this from a Webtoon perspective, so keep that in mind if there are some changes if you're an anime only, but for the most part, these scenes are identical. 10 is going to be the worst of these best moments, so it's still good, and then number 1 is going to be my favorite of these 10 moments. Let's go, let's do it. Number 10 is Arkhaptor versus Yogurt Lady, or Yogurt Auntie, depending on how they're referring to her. This is a moment that's pretty brief. It happens during the untrustworthy room test, and it's the moment I realized that Arkhaptor wasn't just a random character, or even just like a random villainous character. He's actually a protagonist with a really interesting character, and he's super cool to boot. As soon as he finds out what her intentions are, she's gonna try to take the room from Miseng and manipulate this child into doing her will. Arkhaptor's like, oh, okay, that's the situation. He pulls out the umbrella spear and he lets her have it. So good. Arkhaptor is one of my favorite characters, not just in Sweet and Sour, but like Season 2 in general. And this is the moment where he really got to shine. I need more moments like this. Number 9, I'm cheating a little bit, meeting Fug as a whole, specifically Jinsung and Horyang. If I could cheat a little bit, I would tie in Karaka, but I'm only gonna talk about Jinsung and Horyang here. The moment that I'm referring to is when Iwa follows Viole to find out what he's up to, and we end up meeting Jinsung, Bomb's master, for the first time. A character who's going to be very important to Tower of God as a whole, very, very important. And then Horyang's reintroduction. Up until now, we'd only known Horyang to be this like mysterious, oh, you are my god, follow me kind of character. But in this moment, she's calling this fake Viole like pig, and with a straight face, with a little smile. You know, it's so crazy because like up until that moment she's never been a funny character, but from this moment on you realize, oh yeah, okay, Horyang is actually kind of funny, and you quickly realize and fall into the trap of liking her. If it is a trap, I like Horyang quite a lot too, and it's just good. It's a great scene. I love Fug. You know, we find out they're kind of a bunch of goofballs at the end of the day. They're really scary goofballs, but goofballs nonetheless. Number 8 is pretty simple, but I wanted to include it as a representation of Team Sweet and Sour. It's the moment where Team Sweet and Sour reaffirms their loyalty to Viole. It's the moment where Team Sweet and Sour, they're out getting groceries, you know, and they bring up like, hey, Viole's kind of a dangerous guy. Like all these things are happening around him, like, is this the right decision? And they all agree for various reasons, like we're gonna follow him. And it's not just because he's powerful, not just because he's gonna carry us up the tower. That's not the only reason. That's not the main reason, in fact. He's done a lot for them. They feel like bound to him, loyal to him. Prince in particular sticks out to me in this moment because he doesn't get a lot of scenes at this time. I like it a lot. It's great. It's good. It gives us that like boost that like, oh, okay, Sweet and Sour, they're pretty likable characters, you know? Like these new protagonists in Season 2 are actually pretty interesting and lovable. You know, there's so many moments like this, but this is the one I wanted to pick. Number 7 is our first full-on fight in this list, and that's gonna be Viole versus Love. Now again, this is like a top 10 moments thing, but I'm including it, it counts. Love is such a goofy character, just from a design perspective. He's like a chibi kind of character with a baseball hat, and he's always eating chicken and stuff. He's such a goofy looking character, and yet in these moments, Love is scary. I mean, the way he's drawn, the way he fights, the way he talks, the story and the history of his character, it's all so good. I love the fight between him and Viole so much. I think it's well choreographed. Everything from Viole stealing Love's powers, to Love revealing that he also knows reverse flow control, to Wangnan interrupting and switching the connectors in secret with Viole. I think this fight, it's the first like full fight in Season 2, first kind of like major fight, and I think it shows a vast improvement from Season 1, where the fights are a lot quicker, more simple. It's like, no, we're in Season 2 now, the fights have just gotten better and better, and this is like the first showcase of that. Number 6 made me lose my mind and get chills when I first read it in the comic, and it's the moment where Horyang reveals that he is the true Devil's right arm, and the wing starts to glow, and we see all the like tendrils and the blue glow from his arm, and Rob Devil cowers in fear and gets beaten up. Love this moment, dude. I'm telling you, even thinking about it gives me chills. It's Horyang up until now, it's like, okay, he's an interesting character, kind of like Arkhaptor, you know, he's like a teddy bear, a gentle giant kind of character. But this is the moment where it was like, oh, there's more going on with this guy, and he's really scary. When the gentle giant gets scary, it's like a whole nother field. And it of course ties into the story later on. And I think it's a great setup. Rob Devil, you know, he's an annoying character. So getting him put in his place by someone who's like way stronger than him. Because earlier we had that scene where Rob Devil seemingly showed up Horyang, and then this just flipped it on its head. Mwah! So good. Number 5 is when Khun reveals to his team that he knew about Rachel all along. I guess he reveals to us, the audience, more than anything else. And he gives that speech to his team about like, no, she killed my best friend. Like, I'm not forgiving her. We're not taking care of her. I know it looks like that, but I'm just here to figure out what's going on. I'm taking that burden on myself. And we learn he's doing this because he wants to spare Team Shibisu and the others this kind of danger, right? He built this new team to enter into the more dangerous territory, and of course, you know, bad things happen because of it. I love this moment. You know, it's a nice payoff. Again, we just got done seeing Girl Scout Khun with Dan. Dan joins the team. We see Khun taking care of Rachel. It's really annoying, but then it's like, oh no. It's all a part of his plan. It's just a perfect Khun moment, and in front of his new team, it's all so well done. With the sun, you know, the glowing like ball behind him, oh, it's so good. Number 4 is a classic. I mean, when the anime was first announced for season 2, this was one of the most hyped up moments, one of the moments that people were looking forward to the most, and that's gonna be Viole versus Urek Mazino, one of the irregulars, one of the only irregulars in the tower, fighting another one of the only irregulars in the tower. Now, this isn't a fight like a lot of people seem to remember. It really is like just one clash, like one big clash that they have, and yet it's so well done from a story perspective, right? Team Sweet and Sour seemingly at first running away, but then we learn, no, they actually were doing that to then come back all together. They all get a moment to try to attack him, Urek easily deflecting them, but right as Viole is about to attack Urek, Miseng enters the fray, trying to catch the Zigana, so Viole protects her, but of course leaves a scratch on Urek at the same time. Amazing. And Urek is a character very important to Tower of God. He reappears multiple times later on. And this moment, introducing him and getting to see his relationship with Bomb begin, it's all so fun. And the fact that Urek's attack is called like the Supreme Scorching King Fist of Death or whatever, it's like the goofiest, longest ass name. It's awesome. Number 3 is showing my bias towards Wangnan as a character. And this is the moment where Wangnan forgives Lurker. Wangnan is a complicated character. He's not that likable when you first meet him. Like, he's not unlikable, I would say, but he's not a protagonist really. He's not a hero, I should say. We see that someone right in front of him, Wangnan has spent years and years and years, decades and centuries, it's implied, stuck on the 20th floor, his friends climbing on without him. He's all alone. And the one time he finally gets a chance and he makes it to round 2 of the test, there's a person in front of him who asks for help and is begging for help, and Wangnan says, sorry, no, like, I can't do that. And it's the first time we're like, oh shoot, like, this guy isn't really heroic. Like, he's desperate. He wants to climb at all costs. And the one friend that he had made, the one like new friend that he could share food with, like he did with his old friend, Sweet and Sour Pork, was just killed. The emotions are rising, and we see the moment where we realize Wangnan is a hero, and it's despite his entire being screaming against him, he chooses not to kill Lurker and to forgive him. Now, of course, in his heart, Wangnan is never gonna like forgive him in that sense. It's an outward expression because Wangnan wants to change the tower, and he knows if he kills Lurker, he's no better than the ones who are in charge. Like, he could easily make up an excuse like, oh, well, he killed Mia and whatever. But Wangnan knows he has to be better because every single other person in this tower would have killed Lurker, and so he can't. He has to make the different decision. And Viole reacts to it, and he approaches him later and says, why did you forgive him? Because Viole is going through oh my God, it's so good. If I didn't have another bias for another character, this could easily be number 1 for me. Number 2 is when Bomb and Khun reunite, quote unquote, at the hand of Arlen. So this is a series of moments, but everything leading up to this final climactic moment at the hand of Arlen is so good. The Horyang and Kasano stuff, the Arlen statue, I'm not going to say much about that, but the freaking Arlen statue, Ron and Nobik and Viole and Shasha, and everybody kind of coming together in this moment. And of course, with the explosion of the hand of Arlen, Bomb reaching out, calling Khun by name, the voice changer is gone, Khun realizing, is that him realizing who it is? Khun then having to join Sweet and Sour. The teams were reversed. Oh my god, it's so freaking good. I love it. Nobik and Ron have to go join Team Fug. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun. We get team swaps, we get character moments, and of course, the long-awaited official reunion. I say official reunion, but it's like a semi-reunion of Khun and Bomb. I think this moment is so peak, and what a great way to end Return of the Prince. But okay, my number one favorite moment in Return of the Prince, and I'm gonna admit there is some bias here. It's gonna be when Dan tells Rachel to screw off. When Dan refuses Rachel. This moment is one of the moments when I first read it, I truly fell in love with reading Tower of God, with the Tower of God webtoon. This moment is amazing. It's set up by the fact that Rachel is the only one who supports Dan. Dan is such a minor side character. He's there, he's only good at running fast, which is like pretty useful, right? But you know, he's always kind of getting into trouble, but Rachel says, no, like, if I was on this team, like if I was in a position of power, like I would treat you better. And your legs are amazing. And it's kind of creepy looking back because she wants to use his legs. She says, be my legs after Gyatang is killed and Apple and Michael betray the team. And Dan is such a minor side character in the grand scheme of things, especially at this moment where you're like, what is his purpose in the story? That you almost expect him to be to betray Khun as well. I mean, why would he? He was kind of forced into this team. He doesn't have any big loyalty to Khun or anything at this point. You would think that. But instead, despite the fact that he knows he'll end up like Gyatang, he tells her to screw off. He says, you kicked away the people you care about with those legs, didn't you? Go climb the tower with your own damn legs. Dude, is there a more fire line against Rachel in that moment? I don't think it's possible. And of course, Rachel gets angry, grabs a knife, and ruins his legs. Dude, he doesn't die, which I'm so glad because I love Dan, especially because of this moment. But the loyalty he shows, knowing that he could die, and of course, his whole thing is running, and then at that moment, he can't run anymore because of what Rachel did to him. It is one of the most touching and sad and meaningful and impactful character moments in the entire series of Tower of God for me. I freaking love it. And listen, I do have a bias towards Dan, I will admit that, but I think from a storytelling perspective, this moment is peak. Besides, any moment where Rachel looks bad is a good moment in my book. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. What are your favorite moments that I didn't include? Leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to check them out. And with that said, we'll see you for the workshop battle. Peace!